I am very happy of this opportunity to take part with you in celebrating the 40th anniversary of the founding of the National Federation of Federal Employees. Secretary-Treasurer Nolda joins with me in extending warmest fraternal greetings and good wishes. Many thoughts come crowding into one's mind on an occasion such as this. At this important time in our organization's history, it is fitting not only to survey the progress made in 40 years, but to look forward to the future with its new challenges and its developing opportunities for service to federal employees and our country. We have come a long way in these 40 years. They have been incredibly busy, eventful, and fruitful years. The changes which we have been able to achieve in these 4 decades have been remarkable, and yet our task is only fairly begun. The National Federation of Federal Employees came into being through the vision and courage of pioneers who realized that only through organized effort could they better the lot of federal employees and create a genuine career service for the people and government of the United States. When the delegates to the first NFFE National Convention met in Washington in September of 1917, there had been no pay increases for more than 50 years. The spoils system was still flourishing. A retirement system was a vision dreamed of for 100 years, but still not in existence. There was no classification system, and the principle of equal pay for equal work was just a theory and not a practice in the federal service. There was no uniformity in working conditions, in leave and hours, nor in the application of such rules and regulations affecting personnel as then existed. Opportunities for advancement were rigidly limited. Chances for promotion were few. Incentives for exceptional service were lacking. In 1917, the federal service was a century behind the times. Moreover, there were no indications that progressive steps would be taken unless they were initiated by the employees themselves. Courageous and forward-looking federal employees had seen the urgent need for action, and in various parts of the country, locals had been formed. It was soon seen, however, that these locals would be ineffective unless they banded together and formed a national organization, consolidating their strength by establishing a common purpose and agreeing on common objectives. And so it was that the pioneer delegates met in our national capital 40 years ago to form the National Federation of Federal Employees. They met under conditions of national crisis. A few months before, in April, the United States had entered World War I. The federal civilian service found itself faced with heavy new burdens. The crisis gave the most graphic proof of the imperative need for modernizing the antiquated machinery of government and of providing a personnel system in keeping with the urgent needs of the new age. At the same time, living costs had skyrocketed. The meager salaries of federal employees, which had remained unchanged for so long, were more than ever inadequate. The job which confronted the fledgling NFFE, therefore, was an immense one. To the everlasting credit of the founders of this organization, they set their sights high. They did more than aim for relief of the more pressing problems of federal employees, such as pay, important though that certainly was. What they did at that first convention was to lay out a broad and remarkably long-range program. They envisioned nothing less than the creation of a whole modern system of personnel administration for the federal government and its employees, a system which would be built upon the bedrock of the merit system, which would provide adequate pay and promotional opportunities, bring order out of a jumble of conflicting rules and regulations, increase the efficiency of the service in every direction, and provide a retirement plan as the climax of a federal employee's career of public service. It would be pleasant to be able to state that this program was received with widespread enthusiasm and that the formation of the National Federation of Federal Employees was hailed by federal employees everywhere. But that would be straining the truth. However, it is true that many thousands of federal employees who had grown desperate at their lot did join the NFFE in those early months. But, on the other hand, there were scoffers aplenty. Indeed, it was freely predicted, both within and outside the federal service, that the NFFE would not last out a year. It was said that the NFFE would be no more successful than others had been before in attempting to organize federal employees. It was said that no organization having within its ranks such a bewildering diversity of occupations, skills, and attitudes could long endure. It was said to be impossible to find a common meeting ground for such a heterogeneous group of employees. It was said further that federal employees never could be convinced that organization, and organization alone, was the key to the solution of their many and deeply pressing problems. The cynics and the scoffers also found what they thought was a fertile field for ridicule in what they termed the visionary program adopted by the first convention of the NFFE. They said that if anything proved the futility of this new movement, it was this program, which in fact actually reflected the most cherished hopes and aspirations of thoughtful and dedicated men and women in the various federal departments and agencies. Well, my friends, the cynics and the scoffers were proved happily and completely wrong on both counts. By a combination of statesmanship and tenacity and devotion to an ideal, plus a sound understanding of practical means and methods, the NFFE not only lasted out a year, it is here now, marking 40 eventful and amazingly productive years. The NFFE program, which was derided as visionary when it was first presented, has become the keystone of today's civil service system. Most of that original program now is an integral part of the structure, accepted as essential, and many now will find it difficult to envision a service functioning without all of those features. Indeed, it could not do so with any degree of effectiveness in today's world. How did the NFFE win through to so many of its objectives over the past 40 years? There is no simple, easy answer to that question. I have said that a combination of factors spelled the difference between success and failure in creating and building our organization. The same is true of our program. In the first place, our national conventions have established objectives which are above all in the national interest. Every goal of the NFFE, now as in the past, is designed to benefit the government and people of the United States, no less than the employees. This means that your national officers have powerful arguments to support those objectives in the Congress before the executive departments and agencies, and of immense importance before the bar of public opinion. We can point to the beneficial results which have accrued to the nation as a result of adoption of so many of the recommendations of the National Federation of Federal Employees through the years. We can show what those laws and rules and regulations, those changes and improvements, have meant in the way of a civilian service better able to serve our country faithfully in peace as well as in war and in times of continuing national emergency such as these. We can show, too, that the goals of the NFFE are set by broad-visioned men and women who come realistically to grips with complex problems, sink their individual differences, and come up with a program designed to make a federal career more fruitful and satisfying, and the federal service the best of its kind in the world. In these 40 years, we have fashioned a highly efficient instrumentality for the accomplishment of our objectives. From a few score locals scattered thinly around the United States, we of the NFFE have developed into a literally worldwide organization with locals and members in all the states and territories and almost everywhere the flag flies around the globe. From our national headquarters building in Washington, we carry on a host of vitally important services. We have a staff trained and long experienced in our special fields of activity. We have, I am happy to report on this 40th anniversary occasion, a dynamic and growing organization. That growth will be greatly stimulated, I am sure, by the 40th anniversary membership campaigns now being carried on or scheduled to be launched shortly by so many locals. There would be no more fitting way to mark this important milestone in our history than through a very material increase in our membership, an increase which would, in turn, give us still greater strength and open up new opportunities for service. As the NFFE marks its 40th anniversary, greetings and good wishes have come to us from literally hundreds of the highest officials of our government in the executive branch and in the Congress, and also from many citizens who in one way or another have concerned themselves with the cause of good government through improved personnel administration. These messages reflect the esteem in which our organization is so universally held. I'm sure you take pride with me in the reputation which the NFFE has earned for integrity and public service. It is especially significant, it seems to me, that so many of the messages which we have received emphasize these qualities of our organization. It is not possible to overestimate the worth of such a reputation. You may be certain that we shall further expand and strengthen those plans, programs, and policies which have shaped the basic character of our organization and have given it such unique distinction through the years. And now, what of the future? Is there still a job for the NFFE to do? Or have all the needed improvements already been made in our career service? I think I can answer that question, in part at least, by telling you a true story about an examiner in the United States Patent Office in Washington who resigned his position back in the 1840s. He handed in his resignation, he said, because he was convinced that almost everything that possibly could be invented had been invented, and he felt sure that within a few years he would have no job. That was more than a century ago, and the age of invention was only then beginning to dawn in its first glory. Not in his wildest imagination could that examiner have foreseen what lay ahead, a future which was implicit, however, in what had gone before. Yet implicit though they are, the potentialities of both the present and the future require faith, consistency, and sustained vision for their realization. In these 40 years, the National Federation of Federal Employees has been able to make an impressive start toward the accomplishment of our major objective, namely the world's best career service. But it is just a beginning. It is our duty both to protect and perfect the gains already made, and also to move forward along many lines in such areas as extension and protection of the merit system, a realistic and progressive pay policy, improvement of wage board procedures, health and medical insurance programs, further refinements in the retirement system, modern-minded leave and hour policies in keeping with current trends, and a host of others. We must, for example, continue and constantly broaden our continuing NFFE Truth campaign, which is doing such an outstanding job in getting the facts about federal employees and the federal service before the American people through the press, radio, TV, and other communications media. We must continue and enhance the effectiveness of the NFFE in our day-by-day helpful contacts within the federal service and at all levels and in all departments and agencies, and develop an even greater degree of acceptance of our organization and its objectives. We must be as forward-looking now as we have been all through the past 40 years in anticipating problems and in providing sound solutions. In this connection, I may mention the whole range of technological changes as a typical example of the problems which will require our best thought now and for many years to come. We are on the threshold of developments of the most far-reaching consequence in this whole field, and your national officers already have become deeply immersed in various aspects of these developments, which to an increasing degree will have a profound effect upon federal employees in the years and decades which lie ahead. Clearly, then, there is no danger whatever that the NFFE will lack for a job to do, a job that will keep it as intensely busy during the next 40 years as it has been during the past 4 decades. Indeed, from where I watch the situation at your national headquarters in Washington, it appears that the responsibilities of our organization are growing with each passing month. Let me add a personal word here. My recent experiences and contacts all have confirmed in the most convincing way everything that I had previously felt and observed regarding the standing of our organization, both in Washington and in the field. The unique range of the services rendered by your national headquarters, the opportunities for growth and progress along many lines, and the splendid spirit of unity and cooperation which exists throughout the ranks of the NFFE are full of promise for the future. This has been a source of great strength and encouragement in these recent months, and I know you will wish to share that feeling with me on this 40th anniversary. Long ago it was said, the past is prologue. It is plain to see that insofar as the NFFE is concerned, the past is indeed the brilliant and inspiring prologue to a future no less bright and inspiring. That future is certain to be richly rewarding to the NFFE and to its members everywhere, if we will be as alert to our responsibilities as those who have gone before. Knowing the character and quality of the men and women who make up the membership of the National Federation of Federal Employees, I have no doubt what the verdict of the present and the future will be.